Alright fellas, now we just saw Belal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena finally face off at UFC 315 in Montreal, and I gotta say, I'm surprised we managed to get an exciting Belal fight before GDO 6. But hey, anyway, we saw an incredibly entertaining match between the two, with both putting all on the line. The fight didn't really go down the road most of us were expecting, and also the outcome of this fight will dictate some of the biggest fights in the sport for the rest of the year. So we gotta break all of this down as well as what's truly next. Just quickly though, my name's Cloyster and this channel is your one-stop shop for everything MMA, so make sure to subscribe and I'll always keep you in the loop. Now, this was Belal's first fight since his victory over Leon Edwards in July of last year, and that last performance was pretty impressive. But of course, the UFC and Dana White didn't love the idea of having Belal as a champ, so they aimed to throw him straight back in there with the dangerous contender in Shvkat. But because of a foot injury, Belal had to pull out of the fight, resulting in Shvkat fighting Ian Garry instead. Yet we were all still expecting Shvkat to fight Belal next, but because of an injury he had picked up, he had to turn down the chance to fight this May. Although since then he's said he believes that he's going to fight the winner. As we'll go into later on, I don't reckon that'll be the case. So Shvkat's injury set the UFC hunting for another opponent for Belal. They went down the list a bit to the 5th contender in Jack Della Maddalena, and decided, hey, we'll give him the opportunity. Now, I would say Jack was completely deserving of the opportunity, way more than I would say an Ian Garry, who was having a bit of a sook that he got passed over, which I don't really understand. Yes, you got a decent profile within the sport, but when this fight was announced, he was coming off a loss. Although that Ian Garry performance wasn't bad, I don't like the idea of loss and then straight to a title shot. But anyway, we were set to see Belal versus Jack for the belt. Now, I wasn't expecting too much out of this fight. I was more looking forward to what it could potentially set up later on. Although, I was pretty wrong. This was a high-paced and highly technical battle. Belal Muhammad and Jack Della Maddalena engaged in a striking heavy war, with momentum shifts throughout. JDM took early control of the exchanges with crisp jabs, stinging body kicks and sharp combinations, while Muhammad did find moments of success with an overhand right and consistent jabs. Both fighters traded heavy shots, with Muhammad occasionally landing head kicks and flurries of punches. But through the start of the fight, Belal's takedown attempts were largely ineffective. As the fight wore on, JDM's striking remained varied and effective, mixing teeps, triple jabs and sharp hooks. Belal began pressing the action, looking to wear down JDM with pressure and clinch work, but JDM continued to land cleaner, more damaging shots and managed to control most of the pace with his footwork and jab, always keeping the outside of the foot. Belal managed a late takedown attempt in the 4th and some ground control, but JDM quickly reversed position and got back to his feet. And in the final round, we saw more of a frantic pace as both fighters traded power shots in the pocket. Belal landed some solid punches and briefly got the fight to the ground, but JDM exploded out and hurt Belal with some solid power strikes. And the round ended with both men swinging. Hey, not too bad of an end for a Belal fight. Jack Della would end up taking home the title by decision, ending Belal's very short title run, which I thought was a pretty fair decision. Although Belal shouldn't hang his head low, although often criticised for being completely tedious to watch, tonight he surprisingly didn't disappoint. But the more important question now turns to, well, what's next? Unless you've been living under a rock recently, you would know that the winner of this fight would decide what's next for the current pound for pound #1 champion in Islam Makhachev. Now, if Belal won, it was expected that Islam would stay in his current division and let Ilia Topuria challenge him, and if Jack won, he would move up and try to become double champ. He's basically looking for the easiest path. And since Jack's win, Islam has already signaled that he plans to move up and try to challenge Jack. This probably is going to happen. Islam has really taken whatever fight the UFC has thrown at him so far, so him wanting to move up and challenge to become double champ will probably be allowed. Although on paper, Topuria versus Islam is the bigger money fight, Islam has probably earned enough brownie points with the UFC to allow him to force a shot at becoming double champ. The question turns to after that, well, what's next for Topuria? Now the fella was set on challenging straight for the belt, insisting he wouldn't fight if he couldn't challenge for the belt. He wanted this fight bad. He even gave up his featherweight belt trying to chase this fight. Although with Islam Makhachev now out of the picture probably for the rest of the year, where does that leave Ilia Topuria? Now, he would hope that Islam moves back down after he wins or loses. Yet that's not for certain. If he did come back down, it wouldn't be until early next year, where at that point, Topuria might be out of the octagon for over 18 months, which really isn't a great thing. But truthfully, Ilia could wait all of this time, 18 months, many months, just for Islam to vacate his lightweight belt if he beats Jack at welterweight and if he decides to stay there, where he would end up fighting for the vacant belt. Probably not the big hype fight he actually wanted. He really wants to go up and challenge the champ. That's bigger for his image. But the UFC, in the meanwhile, if he doesn't want to fight, may try to force him into a fight in the lightweight division. I don't think Dana's going to be too keen for Ilia just to be sitting on the sidelines. He's too much of a hot property, so they might force him to fight a top contender, which is the scenario which I prefer. If he's so great in the meanwhile, why don't you pick up a fight and prove it once again? So with Jack's next fight seemingly already confirmed, where does that leave Belal? Well, it's going to be a long road back to a championship. The UFC did not want to give him a title shot to begin with, snubbing him for ages. And after he has now lost the belt, how enthusiastic are the UFC going to be to let him challenge again? I don't really know, but in terms of opponents though, he does have options. The first one would be a fight against Shvkat, with the winner potentially challenging the winner of Islam versus Jack early next year. This simply makes the most sense. But what else could happen in the meanwhile? Well, Ian Gary wasn't too happy at being snubbed for a shot at the belt, and we could see Belal versus Gary. That just wouldn't surprise me at this point. Outside of that, I don't really see an Edwards or a Brady rematch happening, yet weirder things have happened. But although overall, it should be very interesting to see what Belal's next move actually will end up being. But truthfully, it won't be nowhere near as entertaining as seeing Islam most likely challenge to become a double champ. But now I want to hear what you think. What did you think of the fight? How did you score it? And what do you think is next for everyone involved? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It does a ton to help the channel. Yep, thanks for watching fellas, and I'll catch you in the next one.